ask yourself, where will the government find resources to be able to create roads, train teachers, to develop the minds of the youth, prepare the country peacefully so that you can conduct your business peacefully. All these things need money, and as the economy rolls over and over again, it means somehow somebody has to pay for this, and without taxation, and no government will be able to fund all these activities.
How about in the Philippines? Personally, do you think na nakikita niyo po yung changes in the government? Do you think that the taxes is being used properly by the government?
There is much to be done about it. Having been there for a long time, I had several clients. I worked in the bank. In my practice, I know that it's being utilized by the bank, but much has to be done. There should be a better fiscal management. From the news that we're getting right now, in fact, we still don't have an enacted budget, and there is a very big possibility that a reenacted budget would happen. Why? Because the funds are not being allocated properly. Yes, and if we in the accounting industry would be very vocal about the proper utilization of funds, perhaps the mindset of the people who are managing our funds would also change.
So as accountants, how do you deal with tax reductions? And what are your thoughts on tax reductions, Leden?
Like what kind of reductions?
Like the train law ngayon.
Okay, the reduction that I have in my mind is that you're supposed to pay this much, but your tax is being reduced because you belong to a certain bracket. I believe, I trust that the people who are supposed to handle all these things have put all their minds and energy into it. I believe in taxation that is targeting those who can afford to really pay more. But looking at the tax mechanism that we are being used now, like the train law, if you there are parts of the train law which is, I would say, not yet perfect. Exempting a certain group of people, like if you have this certain income bracket, you're already exempted from paying tax. For me, it's just okay, because the reason why the government is creating taxes is for you, and if you did not breach that level, it's good enough. But I believe that like for luxury cars, we all know that there's lesser tax being imposed right now. Much has to be done, but the train law has to be reviewed.
Please give us 3 reasons why taxpayers do not pay the right taxes.
Yes. Number 1, because they know that it's not being used properly. Second is that there is no equitable computation of tax. Like, I know this guy is very rich, why am I paying more, or just like him? Last week I had a very good glimpse of what happened to Chris Aquino, no? And let's not pretend that we did not read the news. Chris Aquino versus, what's the name of this girl?
The girl, Gretchen Barreto.
Gretchen Barreto. They talked about taxes. Chris Aquino is one of the top 10 individual high-paying taxpayers in the Philippines. But Chris Aquino is not the richest in the Philippines. Why? The rich people that we really know are not in there. So I'm happy about that. Of course, we can explain the reason, but I'm happy about that because it created some kind of awareness among the public. Oh, what about these people? What about this? So long as there's a constant talk, discussion about taxes, people slowly get educated. So long as there are questions, there will be answers. We're not saying that what they're thinking is right or wrong, and it borders more on the you being have a very wrong perception that why this person is not being taxed higher because he's using his corporate entity to pay for his tax. But so long as the discussions are alive, so long as there are people talking about it, there will be a great opportunity for everybody to have a better view of the taxation mechanism that we are using. Yeah. First is that funds are not being used properly. Second, it's not easy to pay taxes. I've been to BIR a few days ago, and just to ask what form do I need to use. Here's a person wanting to pay and you're giving him a hard time. That's why the system should be very easy. If we have an easy system to make payments or to register what you want to happen at BIR, it should be easy because these are people who are really very willing to pay. Don't make it very hard for them. Okay. Third is that they always find loopholes. There are loopholes within the system, and sometimes these loopholes are taught to us by by BIR people themselves. Okay.
So what do you suggest na pwedeng gawin ng BIR to improve the system?
Yeah, number one, I am for the computerization. When they started with the computerization, the EFPS, you will notice that there's a lot of compliance. Downloadable forms, wow, this is heaven. Don't make it hard for the taxpayers to simply get the form. For many years ago, for you to simply get a form, you will fall in line, very long line. This season, you simply have to open your laptop, download the form, hallelujah, there you are. So if things are easy to be done, people will follow it. So that's one thing. Second is that you impose taxation equally to everyone based on the law that we have. We've heard of people who have been given amnesty for their tax deficiency, and look at these people who are just having just enough to have something for their stomach, but they have to pay for negligence of maybe not being able to file a document on time or so. Third is that yes, there should be a mechanism of payment where if you really pay, what I mean here is that for me to be easily paying for my taxes, the mechanisms are there, and it should not give me some kind of inconvenience going to the bank, falling in line, just like the forms.
Sir, have you worked with companies or clients that ask you to not pay the right taxes?
Yes. Just like Superman, I am telling in front of everybody right now that I also had my kryptonite. It's not really not paying the right taxes, but being able to talk to people. I've had this experience of getting notices from BIR, audit findings and the like. What happened was we were able to make presentations to tell them that this is not really our tax obligations. It should be lower than that. It's not to pay, but charge us lesser.
So how did you handle this?
Yes, it's just so good that I acquired my skills in negotiation and making good persuasion skills. I always believe that if there's a problem, do not hide it, talk to the people. Every time we receive a tax notice, an invitation to appear before RDO or what, I always make sure appear. Appear, do not hide. Ask them, what's the problem? Why did you assess us this much? And present your side. This is what I always, to be fair with people from BIR, every start of the year, they always invite businesses to come to them. And they tell us, last year, ito yung mga nakita namin mga palpak ninyo ha, kaya kayo na-charge. Huwag nyo nang ulitin yan. And I think it's just being fair. So kung paulit-ulit mong ginagawa yun, wala talagang magagawa ang gobyerno sa'yo. And I like that. Because it's like forming a partnership between the collector and the paying public. So we know what to expect from each other. And they will tell us, this year, ganito ang titignan namin ha, ayusin niyo yung mga libro nyo sa mga ganito. We will check on that. But if you still mess up with your book, I think it's your responsibility. So that's how I approach my tax obligation for my client. So, I always believe that it's a learning process. Sometimes the interpretation, that's why we have tax courts, the interpretation of one professional is different from the interpretation of BIR. For us, we believe that we're exempted on this aspect. And then, as we go along, we apply that type of taxation. So the better way to do that is that before you reach an issue, BIR is always available for discussion. Make a letter, make representation. Don't look at BIR as monsters. Look, if we change the way we look at BIR like partners in business, it will be very easy for you to do business.